This is the life of Nzinga Mbande, the fearless lioness of Angola. History remembers kings who built empires, generals who led armies, and rulers who defied impossible odds. But in 17th century Angola, one woman rose above them all. Her name was Nzinga Mbande, a queen who turned diplomacy into a weapon, war into survival, and defiance into a legend. Today, we journey into the fearless, brilliant, and unshakable life of Queen Nzinga Mbande. The 1600s were a storm for Africa's kingdoms. European powers, especially the Portuguese, were expanding their thirst for land and the transatlantic slave trade. Angola was at the heart of this struggle, rich in resources but targeted for domination. When her brother, the king, faltered under pressure from the Portuguese, Nzinga stepped forward, not just as a princess, but as a warrior, a negotiator, and eventually a queen ready to defend her people at any cost. One of the most defining moments came when Nzinga met with the Portuguese governor in 1622. The hall was filled with chairs for the Portuguese, but for Nzinga, only a mat on the floor. In their eyes, she was meant to bow. But Nzinga Mbande was no servant. She refused humiliation. Instead, she commanded one of her attendants to kneel and sat upon his back like a throne. That moment sent a message that echoed through history. Nzinga would meet the Portuguese as an equal, never beneath them. She would not bend. She would not break. But Nzinga's power was not only in defiance, it was in strategy. She mastered the art of diplomacy, forging alliances with neighboring kingdoms and even negotiating directly with the Portuguese. She signed treaties when they brought peace, but she was never naive. She knew when to extend her hand and when to draw her sword. She played the political game better than most kings of her era, always 3 steps ahead of her enemies. When treaties failed, Nzinga turned to war. And unlike rulers who watched from afar, Nzinga rode into battle herself. Clad in armor, spear in hand, she led her warriors with unshakable courage. To the Portuguese, she was a nightmare, unyielding, unafraid, and unstoppable. To her people, she was the shield of Angola. She created safe havens for escaped enslaved Africans, welcoming them into her kingdom and strengthening her forces. For many, she became the embodiment of hope and freedom. For nearly 40 years, Queen Nzinga resisted colonization. Think about that. 4 decades of holding back one of Europe's most powerful empires. When others fell, she stood. When others surrendered, she resisted. And even in her 70s, Nzinga was still leading, still strategizing, still defying. Nzinga Mbande passed away in 1663, but her story did not end there. Her legacy lives on as a symbol of resistance, intelligence, and fearless leadership. She was more than a queen. She was a strategist, a liberator, and a protector of her people. She showed the world that African women could not only rule, but could fight, negotiate, and lead with brilliance. Today, Nzinga Mbande is remembered not just in Angola, but across the continent and the world as one of Africa's greatest heroines. Nzinga Mbande's story reminds us that true power lies not in titles, but in courage, intelligence, and the refusal to bow to injustice. If this story inspired you, hit that like button, subscribe for more incredible African legends, and share this video so the world remembers the queen who defied empires.